It was a Saturday morning when Pastor Amos Akinyemi boarded a bus heading back to his hometown after completing a 7-day deliverance crusade in a remote town. He carried his Bible close to his chest, nodded at fellow passengers, and found a seat near the window. The bus rolled out of the terminal and into the quiet stretches of the highway. About 2 hours into the journey, the bus approached a police checkpoint along a lonely stretch of the highway. The driver, a young man with earbuds in his ears, was speeding uncontrollably. At the back of the bus, an old man sat up, his face tight with fear. He shouted, "Driver, slow down! Police, stay front!" Another passenger, a middle-aged man wearing a blue cap, pointed ahead. "Look, checkpoint. This is not a racetrack, driver." But the driver only laughed. "Let them stop me if they can." His eyes sparkled with pride. He raised one hand and formed a fist, then knocked the steering with it like he was playing a drum. The bus did not slow down. It flew forward like a mad dog chasing a spirit. Ahead, a few police officers stood by the road. They raised their hands. One of them shouted, "Stop there!" But the driver zoomed past them. "Yes!" he yelled. "They didn't catch me!" Some passengers clapped their hands on their heads. "You want to kill us?" One woman cried. "God punish careless driving," another man said under his breath. But it was too late. Just then, with a loud pop, the front right tire burst. The steering jerked. The driver lost control. The bus swerved violently from side to side before somersaulting off the road into a gully. Screams pierced the air. The vehicle crashed into trees, bounced, then exploded into flames. Bodies were thrown out. Others remained trapped in the wreck. It was brutal. No one survived, or so it seemed. But the truth, it should never have come to this. Only if Pastor Amos had heeded the warnings. Only if he had listened, the end would have been different. Pastor Amos Akinyemi was not an ordinary preacher. Across the nation, his name commanded awe and reverence. He was known from Lagos to Kano, from Port Harcourt to Ibadan, in churches, on radios, on TV. People shouted his name like it was part of prayer. "Pastor Amos, he prayed for my daughter. She walked. He laid hands on my mother. Her eyes opened. After 5 years of no child, I touched his robe. Now I have twins." He was not loud. He was not proud. But his presence was heavy, like thunder without sound. People said his voice carried fire. They said his Bible was not ordinary. He walked like a man, carrying heaven inside his bones. But one choice, just one, changed everything. It all started with a phone call, a cry from a small village, a boy that needed help, a mother who believed, a town that had suffered too long. One afternoon, when the air was still and the clouds looked like cotton, Pastor Amos's phone rang. The screen showed a strange number. He answered. "Good afternoon, sir," a woman's voice said, shaking. "Please, my son is dying." She spoke slowly, like someone carrying a heavy load in her chest. "His name is Emeka. He has suffered from epilepsy for 10 years. He falls, he shakes, he cries. We have gone to hospitals. We have seen prophets. Nothing worked." Pastor Amos listened. Then the woman said, "I saw your video, the one where you healed the madman in Kaduna. Please, help us. You are our last hope." He didn't speak right away. He bowed his head, closed his eyes. He prayed quietly in his heart, and he felt peace. No shaking, no trouble, just peace. He picked up his Bible, placed it on his lap, and said, "I will come." The woman cried, "Thank you, sir. May God bless you." That night, he sat in his small prayer room. The candle beside him flickered like it was listening too. He wrote down the village name, Umuzu, a quiet place in the far southeast, a place forgotten by maps, but not forgotten by spirits. Then, he went to tell the one person he always told everything, his mother. She was sitting by the veranda counting her rosary, whispering prayers like she always did. "Mama," he said, "I'm going to Umuzu tomorrow." She stopped. Her eyes did not blink. "Where?" she asked. "Umuzu. There's a boy there. Epilepsy. I have to go." Her hands dropped. "Amos," she said softly. "That name. I've heard it before. In a dream. In a nightmare." He smiled gently. "Mama, I prayed. I felt peace." She shook her head. "No, Amos. Not all battles are yours. Some are better left alone. I dreamt of blood, and I know what that means. Don't go." He touched her hand. "Mama, as long as I carry this." He lifted his Bible. "Nothing can touch me. The Lord is my shield." Mama Akinyemi's eyes filled with tears. "My son," she whispered, "don't go." But he stood. He kissed her forehead, and he went inside to pack. Outside, the wind blew stronger, and somewhere far away, a crow cried. That night, Mama Akinyemi could not sleep. She sat by the window watching the moon like it owed her answers. Her heart beat fast like a drum calling warriors. The wind outside whistled through the trees. The air was too quiet, too strange. She saw shadows that weren't there. She felt danger moving like smoke under the door. By morning, her eyes were red. When Pastor Amos came out, holding his small bag and Bible, she was already waiting. She held her wrapper tight across her chest. "Amos," she called, her voice low, her hands shaking. "Don't go." He paused. She stood up slowly, like an old tree rising in the wind. "Amos," she said again, "this battle is not your own. Some fights wear the face of children, but they bite like lions. I saw blood. I saw fire. I saw your body, Amos. You were not moving. You were gone." Amos came close. He placed one hand on her shoulder. "Mama, you have raised me with prayer," he said gently. "And you have taught me to trust God. As long as I carry this." He lifted his Bible and kissed it. "Nothing can harm me. God is my shield." Mama Akinyemi closed her eyes. A tear fell. "Some shields still crack," she whispered. "Please, don't go." He smiled. "I must." She looked away. "Then go," she said. "But don't say I didn't warn you." Amos bent down, hugged her slowly like he was hugging time itself. She held him tightly, like she didn't want to let go, like her arms were begging for one more day. Then he stepped outside. The cock crowed 3 times, and the gate closed behind him. The road to Umuzu had opened, but something else had opened too. Something with claws, something with teeth. The journey was long and the roads were rough. Dust rose behind the car like a spirit refusing to rest. Trees leaned in from both sides, watching. Villagers stared as the car passed, wondering who this stranger was. When Pastor Amos arrived in Umuzu, the sun was already running away. The sky turned orange, then purple. The air smelled of firewood and evening prayers. Emeka's family stood outside their compound, waiting. The mother's eyes were swollen from too much crying. The father held a small stool, unsure where to place it. Children peeked from behind banana trees. "You're welcome, sir," the mother said, her voice shaking. "You don't know what you've done for us." Pastor Amos smiled softly. "God sent me, not man." They led him into the house. They gave him water. They gave him food. But he touched none of it. He sat quietly holding his Bible. "When will the prayer start?" the father asked. "Tomorrow," Amos said. "Let the sun rise first." That night the sky was black like burnt cloth. No stars, no breeze. The air stood still, like it too was afraid to move. But the witches of Umuzu had already felt his presence. In the midnight hour, a shadowy wind whispered into his room. Then he heard it. "Leave, now." Pastor Amos opened his eyes. "Leave. What you want to untie has been bound with blood. You have one chance. Turn back." He looked around. Nothing. Only silence. Only darkness. Then the wind left, just like it came. Pastor Amos picked up his Bible and placed it on his chest. He closed his eyes again. He didn't say a word. He didn't run. He didn't pray loud. He just stayed. Because sometimes silence is also a reply. And some men are not afraid of the dark. The next morning came slowly. The rooster crowed once, then again, as if warning the day to be careful. Pastor Amos woke up before the sun. He wore his white shirt and held his Bible close. The air outside was fresh but heavy, like something was hiding behind it. The family had already gathered. Emeka sat on a mat, his hands tied with cloth so he wouldn't hurt himself. His eyes rolled. Foam dripped from his mouth. His mother knelt beside him, whispering, "Please, God, please." Pastor Amos stepped forward. "Untie him," he said. They did. He knelt beside Emeka. He placed one hand on the boy's head and the other on his chest. Then he closed his eyes. He prayed. He prayed loud. He spoke in tongues. He called heaven like someone knocking on the gate of fire. "Every spirit of darkness, come out now," he shouted. "You have no place here," Emeka screamed. His body shook like dry leaves in the wind. His arms jerked, his legs kicked, his mouth opened wide. Then, guac, he vomited. A black stone rolled out of his mouth. It hit the ground and steamed, like something cooked from the belly of a demon. People gasped. One woman fainted. Another shouted, "Jesus!" The mother of Emeka cried and fell to the ground, thanking God over and over. From that moment, the story flew. People came, the blind, the mad, the ones who hadn't walked in years, women with dry wombs, men who spoke to the air. They came like ants chasing sugar. Pastor Amos prayed for each one, and one by one they stood, eyes opened, minds returned, legs walked. Tears fell like rain on dry soil. But in the corner of the village, under a very old tree with no leaves, the witches gathered. They watched, and their faces grew dark because light had entered their forest, and it was not afraid. The ground of Umuzu had never seen such healing. Each day people danced, each night they sang. Pastor Amos moved from house to house, praying, smiling, laying hands. The village began to change, like dry land finally drinking rain. But not everyone was happy. Deep inside the bush, where sunlight feared to enter, the witches gathered. They sat in a circle, their eyes red like burning coal. Their voices were low, hissing like snakes. "This man is spoiling everything," one said. "He is breaking what took years to bind," another added. The third, the oldest, nodded slowly. "Then we strike where it will hurt the most. His children." They began their ritual. They called the winds. They mixed ashes with feathers. They whispered strange words into clay pots. Then they sent the charm to kill his children, to burn his joy. But the sky did not move, because Pastor Amos had no wife, no son, no daughter, no baby anywhere. His house was empty, so the charm turned around and returned. That same day, strange things began to happen. The daughter of the first witch screamed and tore her clothes. The son of the second fell and could not rise again. The last one, her twin boys, went blind at the same time. "Ah!" they cried. "Water! Water!" they begged. But there was no help. The witches ran to their secret tree, beating their chests, crying, "What have we done?" But the answer was clear. The fire they threw had no place to land, so it burned their own roof. Still, they didn't stop, because some people drink poison and still ask for more. One quiet evening, Pastor Amos sat outside his room, reading his Bible. The breeze touched his face like soft fingers, but then he felt something. The air changed, like something old had entered it. 3 shadows moved through the gate. 3 women, old, wrinkled, their backs bent like broken sticks, their eyes sharp, glowing like hidden fire. Their steps slow, but not weak. They stopped in front of him. The one in the middle stepped forward. "Young man," she said, her voice dry like Hamatan wind, "we see your power." Pastor Amos looked up, calm like a lion watching goats. "You heal the sick, you open blind eyes. But do you want more?" She smiled, but it was not sweet. It was the kind of smile that hides a knife. "We can give you wealth," she said. "Safety, long life, power that makes kings kneel. The sky will obey you. Just say yes." The 2 behind her nodded, their fingers dancing in the air. Pastor Amos stood up slowly. "If it is not from God," he said, "I don't want it." One of them hissed, loud, like a snake under fire. "Proud boy," she spat. "Do you think your little prayers scare us?" The leader raised her chin. "This is your last chance," she warned. But Pastor Amos's eyes did not shake. "I bow to God," he said, "not snakes." Silence. Even the wind paused. Then the leader's face turned dark. "So be it," she said. "What happens next? You brought it upon yourself." And just like that, they turned and walked away. But their shadows stayed longer, watching, waiting. That night, they placed a strong charm at his door. It was poison. If he stepped on it, his body would rot from the feet up. Under a crooked tree near the back of the compound, the 3 old women gathered again. Their hands moved quickly. Their mouths spoke words no child should ever hear. Their eyes glowed like red coal. "This time," the leader whispered, "he will not escape." They mixed bone dust with snake oil. They tied it with red cloth and black thread. They sang into it. Then they blew it toward his door. The charm landed at the threshold, invisible to any normal eye, but it was real. If a foot touched it, the flesh would rot, slowly, painfully, from the toes to the knee, from the knee to the heart. Then they left, their laughter hidden in the wind. Inside, Pastor Amos slept. His Bible lay open on his chest. His breathing was calm. He looked like a man inside the arms of angels. The night passed and morning came. The sun rose gently, like a mother waking her baby. Pastor Amos stood up, stretched his arms and smiled. Today, he would heal a girl born blind. He dressed. He picked up his Bible. Then, as he opened the door, he paused. His eyes blinked. He looked around confused. Then he said, I forgot my chaplet." It was strange. He had never forgotten it before, not once. He turned back inside to get it. He didn't know why, he just did. But outside something was watching, waiting, breathing, and it would not be waiting long. The witches were hiding not far away. They saw the door open. They smiled. "He has stepped out," one of them whispered. "The charm has caught him." But minutes passed. No scream, no fall, no pain. "Go and check," the leader said to the boldest one. "Let's see his body." The bold one nodded. She stood up and walked into the compound. Her steps were slow, proud, sure. She reached the doorway, lifted her foot, and stepped. "Pra!" Her scream tore through the air like a knife through cloth. "Ah! My leg! My body! Fire! Fire! She fell flat, rolling, shaking, crying. Her skin began to turn dark. Her veins showed. Her mouth opened wide, but no more sound came out. Then she stopped moving. She had stepped on the very charm that they had laid for Pastor Amos. They didn't know he hadn't stepped out before going back inside. The other two witches hiding in the bush saw it. They didn't wait. They ran, like rats chased by thunder. Inside, Pastor Amos picked up his chaplet. He came out quiet, peaceful, the way a man of God should move. He saw the body. He looked down. He didn't shout. He didn't ask questions. He just knelt beside her, whispered a short prayer, then stood. He walked out of the compound and headed to the house where a blind girl was waiting. That day, the girl saw the sun for the first time. That day, the witches learned something new. When light forgets nothing, even your traps will trap you. For the next 5 days, Pastor Amos kept healing. His hands touched wounds and turned them into wonders. People danced, drums beat, women sang his name. But far away in Ibadan, one heart was not dancing. Mama Akinyemi could not sleep. On the 6th night, she saw a clear vision, a bus, tumbling flames, and her son's lifeless body. She woke up, drenched in sweat, and called him immediately. My son, I beg you, leave that town. End this now. I saw you die. Don't prove anything to anyone. Just come home. Mama, he said gently, just one more day. I've made promises. God is with me. You keep saying God is with you, she cried. But don't forget, he also gives warnings. God helps those who help themselves. He fell silent. I'll be careful, Mama. That night, he prayed longer than usual. He knelt until his knees hurt. He read psalm after psalm. He slept, but only a little. The next morning, he wore white again. He went to the church square and held a service. People came in hundreds. They sat on mats, stools, plastic chairs, whatever they could find. Some stood, some knelt. He prayed for them. He blessed them. He told them, your healing is complete. God has visited this village. When the service ended, the people rushed to him. They held his hands like they were holding life itself. One woman cried, don't forget us, Pastor. Another said, you are our light. Please come again. A small child hugged his leg and wouldn't let go. Pastor Amos smiled. His eyes were full, but no tears came out. If God allows, he said gently, I will return. He turned and walked away. The people waved, the drums played, but fate had its own plans. Because the moment he announced his departure from the village, the witches too heard, and they started plotting again, this time for his death. The morning was quiet. Pastor Amos entered the bus, going back to Ibadan. He greeted the driver, nodded to the passengers, and sat by the window, just like before. His Bible was in his hand. His eyes looked outside, but his mind was far away. The bus shook gently as the driver started the engine. But before they could leave the park, Pastor Amos's phone rang. He looked at the screen. His heart dropped. He picked it up. The voice on the other end was shaking. Sir, sorry to say, your mother, she passed away in her sleep last night. Time stopped. He couldn't speak. He just stared. Then he stood up, slowly. He walked to the driver and said, please, stop at the next park. I need to get down. The driver nodded. At the next stop, Pastor Amos got off. He didn't tell anyone why. He just left quietly. He made other plans, took another way home, alone. 2 hours later, the bus he left behind was gone. Gone in fire, gone in blood, gone in screams. The same bus, same road, same spot, the same crash. Not one person survived. The news flew like wind on dry leaves. In Umuzu, people wailed. The ones he healed cried loud. Some ran into the bush shouting, "Why? Why?" But the witches, they danced, they laughed under their tree. They clapped their hands and said, "We told him, we warned him, he's gone now." But they were wrong. Pastor Amos was not gone. He was at home, on his knees, beside his mother's body, holding her cold hand, weeping without sound. "You warned me," he whispered, "and still you saved me, even in death. You covered me." He bent down and kissed her forehead because she had taken his death. The house was quiet, but the spirit inside was louder than drums. The healing in Umuzu slowed down. After that, the fire was not as bright, but the story, it lived in every village, in every corner of the country, on buses, in churches, on lips and tongues. People told it over and over, how Pastor Amos walked into the den of witches, how death opened its mouth for him, but swallowed someone else instead. And the witches, they learned. Some men are not alone. They are carried. They are covered. They are shielded. Even when they don't listen, someone still stands in front of the sword. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video. Comment what you learned from the tale. Share with friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more African tales just like this one. Thank you.